Hey, this is Matt once again. Welcome back to another video. This is a paid request. This time for Jonathan Lindsey. Thank you so much for that. And this time, it's a commentary for heavy metal from 1981. So for those interested in requesting any type of lists, rankings, reviews, reviews, randomness, out of the blueness, wherever it may be, feel free to send it either directly to my PayPal or join my Patreon. Both links are down below in the info box under the video. And I am paused at the beginning. Will count down. 3, 2, 1, pressing play. And we have the Columbia lady. Columbia Pictures. Because I always remember this was at the beginning of Ghostbusters and a bunch of films back in the day. Speaking of Ghostbusters, Ivan Reitman, I think, had an involvement in this. I think that's how you got people like John Candy and Eugene... Yeah, Ivan Reitman. John Candy does some voices, Eugene Levy, and a few others in the comedy realm. Too bad no one like Bill Murray or something, but still. I love this movie. I'll say this. I love this movie. It has a kick-ass soundtrack. I love the art design. Even here, I love the way they did the titles. I did not grow with heavy metal comics. I didn't grow up reading that. Really, all I know is this and the second movie, and the second movie isn't that good. I like that you took an R-rated, animated anthology film. There's not a lot of animated anthology movies, especially ones that are R-rated. And again, I love the art design of this. I still think it looks really cool. And it's 1981. Yeah, Joe Flaherty, that's another guy in the comedy world. SCTV. I was surprised like Rick Moranis or someone is. Yeah, there's Eugene Levy. Harold Ramis, rest in peace. Same with John Candy. And that's the thing with John Vernon. Go fucking Iceberg. You know, that John Vernon from Savage Streets. He was also in Killer Clowns from Outer Space. And I want to give credit also to Elmer Bernstein's score. I mean, the soundtrack is great, but Elmer Bernstein definitely gives a great, at times eerie score with this Lachnor, this device. And of course, a rockin' soundtrack. You got Cheap Trick, you got Sammy Hagar, you have a collection of just great songs. That's why when they did the sequel, I don't know why they just said, hey, you know what made that film work? Let's do really none of that. It was rated R, but let's not have it be anthology. Let's not have classic rock songs. Let's have this like shitty... I'm sorry, I thought the soundtrack was actually shitty. And I don't know if this is rotoscoping. I don't know the actual artistic detail. But this was like an MTV... Some people might not even know what this is. MTV back in the day showed this thing called music videos. And between this music videos on music television, which was what MTV was supposed to be, you had like these weird animated spots in between showcasing the channel, MTV. Very creative. You also had this thing called liquid television. And these really creepy, weird, creative animation, stuff like this. Like, this is very unique. Like, it's... There are times where, like, the astronaut looks photorealistic, but then it's obviously animated background. I look at all these bands. Journey, Sammy Hagar, Stevie Nicks. See, it needed AC/DC, though. It needed AC/DC. But imagine doing a heavy metal sequel, like in 1989. This was imagine doing a 1989 sequel, and you had AC/DC, Metallica. I don't know if Alice in Chains was around then. I'm trying to remember. Even Bon Jovi, Guns N' Roses. And this was always fucked up. Like, this dad seems like a very nice dad and just gets killed willy-nilly. Now, I don't know if it's kind of like rotoscoping. Just rotoscoping is like when you have someone and you kind of trace over them. So they're actually doing the movements, but you're just tracing over it. I know some of the He-Man, the old He-Man cartoon was done in that fashion. They, without like just, literally just melts into bones. Like this, I mean, now this voice is Percy Rodriguez. Percy Rodriguez voiced a lot of movie trailers. The most famous one is Jaws. But he voiced a lot of movie trailers around this period. Like I said, by then, Jaws was probably the most famous trailer he did the narration of. I will say, kind of the plot of the Leonard, I don't understand, in the fact of it kind of just destroyed by itself by the end, and what really destroyed it at the end of the movie? Is it the realization that this girl's going to be the incarnate? Well, why didn't it do that when her dad was alive? Why did it wait until the end to do that? So yeah, I don't really understand 100% what makes the Leonard destroyed at the end. That's just, again, one little thing about it. Like, what really fucks it up? Oh, it's the reincarnation of the lady we see in the last story, but at the same time, why wasn't... Took your time to do it. Why you do it before your dad was dead? I don't know. I guess you're not supposed to think about it too much. But this is like a jewel that anyone who comes into contact with gets destroyed, or gets altered, or just bad things happen. There you go. It doesn't hold back, and I love the animation style. I love the creativity. And we have the Fifth Element. This is definitely inspired the Fifth Element. It has to have. The cityscape, the taxi cab, your Lee being a cab driver, the flying cars. Again, no one can tell me otherwise that Fifth Element was not inspired by this. And what can be good about anthologies is that even if one story doesn't work, at least you'll have maybe 2 or 3 that do work. But again, there's not a lot of anthology. I know there's kind of a sequel to this called Love and Robots, which I never saw. But they were trying to remake it. There was, at one point, David Fincher wanted to do it, and like Zack Snyder would do a part, David Fincher would do a part, Kevin Eastman, I guess, would do a part, because Kevin Eastman would come to own Heavy Metal magazine. That's what happened after, yes, Kevin Eastman of Eastman and Laird, the guy who created the Ninja Turtles. By the 2000s, Kevin Eastman left and said, Peter Laird, you have all the Ninja Turtle stuff, I'm going to do Heavy Metal magazine. And then he was married to the girl. I always thought that was a cool weapon. The disintegrator. Harry Canyon. But yeah, which sadly I think that girl's passed away, was the basis for a lot of the art design for that Heavy Metal sequel. But I'm sorry, I'm just not a fan of the sequel. I thought it was all the fun and the anthology aspect, the soundtrack, the art style. None of it was brought over to that sequel. And nowadays, you probably can't even make this film because it'd be too un-PC. Oh, you have women who are hot, and you have sex and nudity and violence and gore, and creativity. And it's a short film, too. It's only an hour and 30 minutes. And like I said, I can't think of many other animated anthology films. Especially ones like this. So it's definitely unique. Sexy lady. But yeah, a lot of these you'll hear John Candy, which is nice. I think John Candy is a cop here. A literal illegal alien. I think this is John Candy. Yeah, it's John Candy. Which, I mean, no one really asked about, John Candy and other people about this film later on. Just shows how useless the cops are in this future. And I think when this film came out, I don't know if it did well at the theaters. I don't know if it did well at all. It definitely found a cult following, thanks to VHS. Because at the time, it was just very different. I mean, you were not seeing, other than maybe Fritz the Cat, you were not seeing a lot of more adult, coordinated animated features. Nowadays, it'd be maybe, Sausage Party, and then they try to do that show Santa Inc. Wow, this is a lot fucking better than that. It's just nice to look at all the backgrounds, all the little details they put into it. Nowadays, people may not care for the animation. They may feel it's a bit too stiff in movements. It's not like a smooth flow to it. But I mean, it doesn't bother me at all. I like the style. I like the color. But he doesn't try to be an asshole. But holy shit. And she got Bush. We got Bush. Can't say no to this. Again, or maybe it was her first time with a New Yorker. Who knows? I do wonder how awkward it would be watching this in the theater. Like, you're in the theater, then all of a sudden you see watching an animated sex scene. You know what? I would bet there were some parents who were so fucking stupid they didn't realize this was an R-rated film. Because believe me, there's a lot of people, not all, but there's a lot of people, a lot of parents that don't pay attention to what the fuck they're doing or seeing. I used to work at a video store, and there'd be times where they just didn't know what the hell they were renting. Like, they just grab something and they just assume shit. And it's like... Same with, like, return a movie. There's a drop box to return a movie. 2 feet away, there's a garbage, and they put it in the garbage. Because they go, it's somewhere near there. And then when it's in the garbage, and, oh, how come it's never checked in? Oh, probably because you put it in the garbage, and it got fucking thrown away, and it was never... Again, you did to realize how a lot of people could be really fucking stupid when you work in a retail type of business. God, this guy's like if Orson Welles melted. A melted milk dud of an Orson Welles. Or if Orson Welles got put in a vat of KFC. Got some mellow yellow here. Sit back and enjoy heavy metal. Oh, you burned my car? Fuck you. I also like that the world is populated by robots. Like, there's a robot hot dog vending, hot dog guy. This guy has, like, cybernetic implant in his eye. We saw a lethal alien. So yeah, it's like that there's a future, just all this stuff populated within it. Fuck you and your charges. I ain't accepting shit. Statue of Liberty, 4 o'clock. I would say this is one of the better stories in this anthology. Because it's a story that has a beginning, middle, of end. This cab driver guy, he gets in the midst of this weird situation. He's been played around by both sides. By this dame, you find out later, and then these bad guys here. You get a bit of sex, you get a bit of action. This guy knows what he's doing. This fucking idiot didn't know what the hell he was doing. You need to pay attention to what's in front of you. Yeah, I love the music. I love the soundtrack. People are like, well, why don't you tell what's on the soundtrack? Well, I mean, you can find it on YouTube. Or, I mean, Wikipedia. They'll tell you what it is. But pretty much all these stories are linked with this Lotnar that kind of reacts to people in different ways. But maybe that's for the better, because it doesn't all seem like the same film again and again and again. And Lotnar, I don't know, we called the Macguffin, what they called the Macguffin. It's the plot point that's really not as important as the rest of the stuff, but something that carries the plot forward. I didn't. Alfred Hitchcock would call it the Macguffin. Interesting way of cache. It looks like for your desktop computer. It's like a digital suitcase. I wonder how that transfers into money. This guy fucked up. What was he trying to do? What do you think he was in the case for? Idiot. Like Street Trash. Melted like Street... If you don't know the movie Street Trash, look it up. It's a pretty crazy movie. Fun movie. But yeah, Street Trash. Kind of like if a trauma movie was done right. That's what I call Street Trash. What a two-timing bitch. Should not have done that. But dumb. Even though she would have killed me, I felt sorry for her. She was okay, just a little greedy. A 2-day ride with one hell of a tip. And that's probably the character, one of the characters that has the best outcome. He's fucking rich. Like, the Lotnar says you had your first lesson. I guess the evil corrupted the girl in the back seat. That's what he meant. You possess powers. you do not yet understand. I guess that's why she didn't help her dad, because it just knows she possesses powers, but then unbeknownst to him, she has a rude awakening, so to speak, and ruins his day. Now it's funny how it doesn't melt him. Now this is John Candy. This is mostly John Candy's story. He does voices to other stuff, but this is his main one, Den. And yeah, it's funny, it doesn't melt him. Like, he touched it. And this, yeah. That's what I mean, like, why did it not melt the kid, but it melted other people? Like, if you're a good person, it doesn't melt you? Maybe, I don't know. Rock and roll fantasy. Very trippy, too. The idea is very creative. Like this stuff here to... How do you showcase going through different dimensions? And it turns from a boy to... Elmer Bernstein, he also did the music for Ghostbusters. I think he did the music for Stripes. And that's how, you know, John Candy knew Ivan Reitman, just doing Stripes. Among other stuff. You're going to come out with my door caning out. So I like the fact that even though in this body, he's still acting like a kid. They'll go out with my door coming out. My door caning out. So it's like, what if a kid got this Hercules type of body, looking like Yul Brynner? And of course, I mean, you gotta do the ritual topless. That's the only way to do rituals, is topless. Drink to that. But I mean, it's nice to hear John Candy in that, because I miss John Candy. I love John Candy. I actually did a little marathon years and years ago. This gave me time to talk about John Candy. It says, I like this story too. He's the main reason why. I did a marathon reviewing quite a bit of his films. Some of his early work, they were pretty bad. The Clown Murders was pretty bad. There's one called Going Berserk, wasn't really a fan of. There's one that he's on the cover, but he's barely in. I forget what it was called. There's one where he's on the cover with Anthony Perkins, but he's barely in that. I forgot what the hell they were called. But I think I have a playlist of John Candy stuff on my channel. But I love Summer Rental. I love Planes, Trains, Automobiles. I like Uncle Buck. I like Cool Runnings. He was in Home Alone. Delirious was there. Only the Lonely was there. Sadly, he ended his life. He passed away. And the last two films he was in was Wagons East and what that was Canadian Bacon. And I was not a fan of those two movies. But yeah, Summer Rental, Planes, Trains, Automobiles. I would say those are my two favorites of his. I don't know who these assholes were, but I mean, that's kind of a relatable thing to say. That's what I liked about John Candy's performance in this. He would say things that, you know, I could see myself saying, "Oh, these assholes, they picked the wrong time." But they would never do. I mean, I just never say never. Streaming, maybe streaming service they would, but yeah, always on PC, all this stuff here and there. Is there me or does? Now, granted, I don't know where he learned how to fight, but that's fine. He even says, "I was pretty good at this stuff." At least, like, admits it with the dialogue. Yeah, sorry. Now I'm just watching the film itself. But here's the thing about the '80s. I mentioned this before. People, it's funny. So many of these filmmakers and other people, they talk about the '80s. They don't talk about the '90s so much, which is a shame because they like the '90s. The '90s is a great decade for movies as well, underrated decade. But the '80s, they want to capture what makes it work, but they don't understand what really makes it work. They think if you put the right, 80s songs, or you do a little bit of neon so it looks like the '80s, then automatically it's an '80s type of movie. I'm like, no, that was the day and era of excess, where villains could be evil and good guys could be badass and heroic, kick-ass take names. You didn't have to worry about hurting someone's feelings. You didn't have to worry about, oh, the bad guy cussed too much, or he said too many naughty words, or he said the wrong words, even though he's a villain who kills people. But he said the wrong word. Or, oh, well, women are sexy. What's wrong with that? They're having men shirtless as well. Look at Den. He's shirtless throughout the whole thing. So it's for the men and women. It's just one of those things where they were just telling a story without limiting themselves unless it was budget. But let the creativity fly. And sadly, a lot of times that would not work out into a successful venture. Because again, I don't think this was the biggest hit. Man, took care of that guy real quick. But, I mean, that's one of those things they haven't really done much with heavy metal nowadays. Like I said, there was a time where they were going to remake it. There was another time that Robert Rodriguez was going to remake it. That's probably around the time he wanted to do like Red Sonja with Rose McGowan. None of that came to like all this stuff that Robert Rodriguez said he wanted to do. Machete 3, Machete in Space, Red Sonja with Rose McGowan. Like I said, heavy metal, and none of it happened. You're just jealous because you don't look as good as him. At least in her eyes. Literally her eyes. She went zzz. Like, how many movies nowadays you gonna have a queen going, you better fuck me good. You fuck me good. Now, in Dialogue they mention 18 years of nothing. I'm sure they added that just to let you know, by the way, this kid, he didn't look 18 though. But he said 18 years of nothing and now twice in one day. But that kid did not look 18 years old. Did that kid look 18 years old at the beginning of the story? He looked like he was 13. But it's like, oh, a 13-year-old? So I think that's why they added that line. 18 years. At least that's what it said on the subtitle, unless the... Because I do have the audio turned down a bit, so no copyright, so mostly I'm watching the subtitles. I'm able to hear a little bit of the music, but in the subtitle they said 18, 18 years of nothing. She was pissed. It's kind of a adventure tale. Kicking ass, taking names. And John Candy definitely sells it, because he just had this lovable nature in his performances. I enjoy film he did. A lot of people don't care for it, but I liked Armed and Dangerous, which he did with Eugene Levy. Now, I think originally that was going to be directed by John Carpenter, Armed and Dangerous. Why that did not come to be, I don't know. But at one point that was supposed... Because even John Candy mentioned in an interview, so I'm going to do this film, like John Carpenter, and which I think would have been interesting to see. But I liked Armed and Dangerous. That, you know what? That's actually one of the John Candy films my favorite. It's not the most popular opinion, but Summer Rental, Planes, Trains, Automobiles are my two favorites. Armed and Dangerous, Uncle Buck would be in the top 5. What films he's... I mean, Stripes. Love Stripes. Fucking love Stripes. You're a lean, mean, killing machine! Bill Murray hyping John Candy up to do the mud wrestling. That's a great scene. Power begets power. Greed begets greed. So they just kill each other. And Den's like, get the fuck out of my face. It's like, fuck this shit. I liked his school, the lightning rod, using a bit of what we knew of him at the beginning, the showcase here. Teleported to somewhere. Sorry, I'm listening to the dialogue. Yeah, forget being a ruler. You just... That's cool, like, you get to ride this big bug. Like, for transportation. I always like this piece of dialogue, too. Back there, I was just... I was a nobody. But here, I'm dead. A happy ending. And, like, you can't really blame the guy. Like, back there, just whatever. But here you have a brand new world to explore. A brand new... Like, you get this lady who wants you and loves you. You got this body. Like, you can do all this stuff. I would probably stay as well. And plus, I mean, there could always be... yeah, I would probably... I don't know, I'd have to think of... Nowadays, I don't know, I'd miss my friends and such. Maybe I wouldn't stay. Now this is Eugene Levy, I believe, as the captain. I love this collection of creatures for this panel. And they must have purposely made him look like Superman. He's got the same haircut, chin, almost a Bruce Campbell chin. They're like, let's have a guy that kind of looks like Superman, but he's just this piece of shit person. And you have John Vernon as well. John Vernon, he was a cop in Killer Clowns from Outer Space. He was in Savage Streets, saying the line, "Go fuck an iceberg." He's been in a lot of stuff. He was in this creature feature film called Blue Monkey from the 80s. I like the one alien with like the green long neck and the two eyes like right over here and here. He's not on screen now, but he was on screen just a bit ago. It's like an alien whose eyes are like this far apart. It's like green. And the idea is that he paid this witness off to say the nicest things about him. But again, what's cool about this, again, like I said, I like the background of, being creative, what kind of creatures, what kind of aliens you put into this. And what I like is that each one is unique in its own thing. It doesn't feel like one was like the other. So, the first story is like this New York sci-fi cab driver. The other was this, I don't want to say Conan the Barbarian, but that type of adventure. Here, I guess more comedic or more of a chase scene. Yeah, he definitely the one Captain Stern definitely looks like Superman. Where the hell did he get that? I'm trying to remember. Did he pick it up? I might have been talking while in the middle of that. Preschooler's prostitute ring. He sells dope disguised as a nun. I just never would have thought that. Sell dope disguised as a nun. Now, this one, I will say, what suffers from it is that because it's an hour and a half and you have so many stories, some of them don't have room to breathe. So, I would say in this one, I don't know if there's really anyone you can root for. Because you can root for John Candy, Den, the cab driver, just, wants to do his job in peace. Here, it's like you have this guy we don't know nothing about becoming, looks like one of the fighters in Mike Tyson's Punch-Out. Going after, I do like this song. Or this piece of music. Like the eyeball with arms is like the most likable character. I guess sort of his assistant, his helper, however you want to put it. Yeah, I do like this song. That eyeball. That's creative design. The eyeball with the arms. But yeah, that's probably the most likable character. But and it goes by fast. It's fun. This chase scene. And again, the soundtrack definitely helps. I don't know if any of these stories are based on actual specific comic stories back in the day, or it just is in that style. We created brand new stories. I mean, in the credits it says you story by, so I'm guessing they just created some. But I don't know if there was any inspiration. Oh, that story, I want to adapt that story. Because I'm not familiar with the heavy metal magazine like other people would be. I remember this not being that long of a story. Because pretty soon he just catapults the guy out of the fucking station. So Captain Stewart, I guess, gets away with it. Which I wonder why this eyeball helps him if he's such a piece of shit. Maybe the eyeball's a piece of shit and we don't know it. He rapes guppies or something. Gives blowjobs to cats. I don't know what eyeballs do. This fucking eyeball in the future could do anything. I do think that's a funny bit that he pays him off. And that calmed him down. And it shows just how much of a piece of shit he is. Now, where's the eyeball? The eyeball just disappeared. Yeah, he's dead. And all that's left is his hand. Yeah, what happened to the eyeball? I don't know why in that one scene the eyeball with arm just disappeared. I would like to have... That's one little continuity thing. I wish they would have kept that in. Because it just would fit better with the continuity. Because here it's like, okay, well, wait a minute. What's the continuity of that? Like, again, the eyeball just disappears. Where did it go? I know people, oh, that's not a big deal. This one, I think, is one of the more artistic, cool-looking segments. Rock and roll fantasy. Heavy metal. Take a ride. I just like, it's very stylistically bloody. The way metal. Sorry, now I'm just paying attention to the song. Take a ride. I was thinking of a different song, Rock and Roll Fantasy. Take a ride, heavy metal. I think because just the different... Like, we're so used to seeing all this futuristic stuff. The sci-fi New York setting, the alien trial, that to see like an old school, B-17 bomber type of thing makes it feel and look a bit different from the other stuff. And yeah, these people got shot to shit. I'll tell you one thing, this segment alone is better than that fucking movie Shadow in the Cloud. If you don't know what that is, good. That was one with Chloe Grace Moretz. See that guy that's in that little bubble with the gunner? She was in there, and it's just a bunch of sexist men saying sexist things for like 40 minutes. Oh, then there's one gremlin that looks like shit. And then this package she's trying to transport happens to be a fucking baby inside. Even the package went over like fucking this and that and this. Ew. And another thing the Lochnar is doing. This is one I kind of wish was a bit longer. Like when the guy gets on the island, I wish there was a bit longer with him escaping the island and but barely escaping. And oh, because I just like the art design. I like that they incorporate a zombie story into this. And it is pretty gory, guts falling out and stuff. Some nice lighting too. It's weird to say lighting, but you have to get like try and get the shadows on people's faces. Oh, there you go. That was a cool. That was an easy comic type of look to that that hand transforming. Don't do it, man. Don't do it. Just blood splatter, right? There you go. And this guy doesn't make it out, I don't think. He kind of shit out of luck. But again, the way the zombie is, it's heavy metal, but it's easy comics brought to life. That's what it is. This is pure easy comics, which was inspiration for Creepshow, another anthology movie, live action one. Kiss my ass. Get the fuck out of here while it crash lands. You can't fly a plane, bitches. Now he's landed on the island of the damned. I think of all the characters in the movie, this is probably the one I feel the most sorry for. Because he's going through this and he didn't deserve any of it. I guess the dad didn't deserve it at the beginning of the movie either. It's like the fucking Bermuda Triangle. Which if the Lotnar created this, did Lotnar come back to this all the time? Or just... Lo and behold, this also happens to be the place that a bunch of shit landed. Or, I mean... Maybe it's just a place a lot of things landed and Lotnar came by and turned everyone into zombies. Yeah, I love that with the one has no mouth, the dripping, like, whatever the hell slime you want to call it. See, I wish that was a bit longer. And see, I wish it was like he finds guns and he's shooting the zombies. He's shooting a head off here. He's shooting an arm off there. He's finding all the weapons that were... He escapes the island. That would have been really cool to see. See, that's why I wish that had gone a little bit longer. Or just had like a... him killing all the zombies. Or just, again, knocking their head off, blowing their head up. Their skull shattering. Arms, legs, as the guy escapes the island. Like a couple minutes more would have been pretty cool on that one. And I will say, I don't know if this really tells any consistent timeline. Like, is this the same Earth that Den was on and got transported to another dimension? I just said you're not supposed to care or think about it. This guy looks like... That guy looked like Sean Connery, that general. Like an older Sean Connery. Yeah, as a UFO hovers on the fucking Pentagon. Damn, she typed in like a fucking... God, do you have a big enough ship? And the ship looks like Kirby from Nintendo. Hey, you see a girl looking like that, you'd be sweating too. Ah, she has a piece of Lochnar on the necklace. And I guess, like, lo and behold, this guy, this alien knows that she's in trouble and wants a piece of that. I guess so. I said stuff like that is pretty cool. Like, that brief background. Like, these brief backgrounds that you only see for not even 10 seconds. That was kind of the fun of like, what is going to happen next. Another appearance by John Candy. But here you have Harold Ramis as well. There you go. Sorry, now I'm just watching the film again. Very interesting to have Harold Ramis voice a certain type of character that seems like it would be part of Cheech and Chong. Hey, man. He sounds like Tommy Chong. What's going on, man? But there are supposed to be drug users in this. But I kind of like that idea of these aliens being really truck drivers. That's really what they are. Seem like just typical like blue collar aliens. I would like to see that in the movie. Like, you take the creatures, articulate, good animatronic, but then you have them act like blue collar people. Like, imagine that, but they act like I don't know, the crew from Alien. We gotta talk about the bonus situation. Like, this one guy wearing a trucker cap. And pretty much their version of cocaine. Which was probably used in making this film. A lot of cocaine. In the writing room. There's probably a lot of this going on. See, maybe that's why movies suck nowadays. No one's doing cocaine. Maybe they need to go back and do cocaine again. See, that's what needs to be done. Go back and do cocaine. Maybe we have better movies. I guess that is one of the things, though. I guess in a way it's a good thing. There's a lot of these stories I kind of wish we would see more of. Like, just, maybe like 5 minutes more. Because they're on their drug phase. I don't know how the fuck they get the... That was the Enterprise. I swear that I just saw the Starship Enterprise. How the fuck did they get that permission? Or maybe they changed it just enough to not get sued. I don't know. I mean, I guess technically you say there's not a whole lot to this segment. I mean, it was John Candy voicing a robot that got to have sex with a chick. And then two aliens. They do some drugs. That's kind of what all that happens in the story. As they're in a ship that again looks like Kirby's Dreamland or something. And how long has it been? Has it only been a day? I mean, after one day and a lot of sex, you already want to marry her? Sorry, I'm just watching the. I apologize. It's not the most exciting commentary. I'm just going. I can't. I mean, I look at the films of this year, man, and there are films I like this year, but there's so many worse ones, and they don't have creativity. They don't have just a sense of fun, entertainment. Why don't you just have fun? I want to have fun. So I don't have fun with the fucking 2.5 hour goddamn bullshit like some of these other fucking movies. I do have fun listening to my favorite song in the soundtrack, Heavy Metal by Sammy Hagar. This is what I'm talking about before that. I wanted to see like 5 more minutes of like the robot, the chick, like where did they land? Where are they going after they've landed and with the escalator? Were they still on the ship? On the escalator? Or did they... Like, are they still on the ship with the escalator? I guess it's a big enough ship. Are they experiencing all this? Like, the Lodnar wants to have all these lessons. What was the lesson of that? If you have a Lodnar crystal, you will get to be able to fuck a robot? Okay, so it knows what race she is. She just doesn't know it yet. So obviously this is the story that has the most running time because we're 57 minutes in and that was all those other stories and then the rest is this one final story. Well, and the epilogue. So again, this is the one that has the most story and that's one of the reasons why it was the girl on the cover. Cover of the DVD, cover of the poster. I gotta be honest, this is the story I find the least interesting. I will admit, I liked it, and it's better than Heavy Metal 2000. But it's just, again, I like the cab driver story more. I like Den more. The thing with the robot, I'm like, or even the B-17 bomber, I wish those were like 5 minutes longer each. And this was like maybe 5-10 minutes shorter. That's what I would prefer. Again, give 5 more minutes to the robot, 5 more minutes to the B-17 bomber. Have the guy fight himself off the island. Obviously, these guys are going to get changed. Well, I don't say obviously, but they get mutated. So again, sometimes it just melts them, sometimes it just mutates them. Just whatever it feels like doing. Of course, if they did a heavy metal today, it'd probably be with The Rock, since he's in every other fucking movie. But I mean, the early 80s, I mean, just the whole decade in general just had a lot of creativity. I keep mentioning that. And not just that, but excess without apologies. Nowadays, if they try to do excess, well, we'll do it, but we don't really mean it. And we apologize if we offend some people. And, we don't want to say too many naughty words. And we don't want to do this. It's like, no, you're not. Then you're not an 80s movie. 80s, they did it and they didn't give a fuck. This is entertainment. Cobra is going to put the bad guy on a fucking hook and slam him into a fucking incinerator. You'll burn it up. Arnold, I lied. Drops a motherfucker. No wink to the camera, doing a deadpan, which makes it funnier. Here, no, they kill all these motherfuckers with no apologies. As this race of people have to get their champion. And these people up shit creek as well. Because they die too. So, I don't know who she really saved. But I mean, I guess there's more to it than just this. Interesting choice to make him with no pupils in the eyes. The guy talking. That guy looks like Doctor Strange. With the orange robe. It's Doctor Strange. That guy looks like the old guy in Kroll, the guy in white. That you couldn't really see his eyes. And then got killed, and there was a fake, a phony version of him. For all remember Kroll from the 80s, Krull, Kroll. Still better than Disney Star Wars films. That's another thing about Heavy Metal 2000 is like, okay, you don't do one story. And the one story you do is like a shitty remake of this story. I mean, yeah, this might be my least of the stories, but I still like it. It's still not too long. It's only what? It's been, 5 minutes? Probably another 15 minutes. Because you have the epilogue, you have the end credits. So it's maybe a 20-minute story at most. So you take a 20-minute story, you try to stretch it out to fucking 80, 90 minutes. This guy gets the worst of it too. Yeah, it lands on... Oh, I thought it landed on him. I know this guy does get fucked up. I think this guy does it. Been a while since I've seen this. There he goes. Yeah. Then they don't hold back on the violence, which I appreciate. But you just like the different type of worlds, the color schemes, like that pink and blue and orange, green. I do love this creature. I forget what the creature is called. But it's the creature on the cover as well. But I do love this really cool creature. Again, Elmer Bernstein, his score gets a bit underappreciated. It's a great soundtrack, but the score, I think, fits fairly well. I did a nice, interesting choice to do like a pan of the landscape. idea. Maybe people think it's a bit too clunky or a bit too stiff. But for 1981, this was ambitious, completely ambitious. But that's the thing. A lot of ambitious movies were made, and not many of them made money. So then they go, "Why should we? We can't. We don't have endless amount of money. So don't be as ambitious." Granted, just because a movie's creative doesn't automatically make it a pass either. I should say that you can be creative as well, but then come off as fucking stupid too. So, like everything, there's a balance. There's a balance with everything, and that's in the eyes of the beholder and the viewer. That's why movies are subjective. What's the best movie of all time? There is none. It's how you think and how you feel. Some like Citizen Kane. I don't mind it. Some think it sucks. Some like It's a Wonderful Life. I like It's a Wonderful Life. Some people think it sucks. I love Aliens. Some people thought it sucked. I disagree. It's in the eyes of the beholder. People love The Godfather. I'm not really a fan. I prefer Goodfellas. I prefer Scarface. I prefer Casino. But again, I always thought, again, now that I think about it, this consistent story that they were trying to tell us for the last couple years, that there were no strong women. I mean, she's a beautiful and she's butt-ass naked, but she's a strong woman as well. And oh, well, she's naked. Well, Den was pretty much naked too. But, people want to forget that shit. And it's also interesting they don't give her any dialogue. And actually, I think it fits because it makes her more mysterious. You have a lead character that doesn't speak. Yeah, it makes her more mysterious. You don't quite know what she's thinking, and she talks through her actions. She's proud of her body. She's proud of who and what and when and how and where she is. She's not going to apologize. She don't get her shit, get her sword, and kicks her fucking ass. I'm down for that. I would go down on her, and I would go down for that. So it works out both ways. Beautiful lady, too. And like I said, I do like it. I do like this story. I'm just saying I like the other stories more. Maybe that's the better way to put it. I like the story, I prefer the other ones more. They definitely give people the money's worth. You want to see sexy women and titties? Here you go. I feel like I'm in a strip club. Oh, you're going the wrong way. You're supposed to be taking it off, not putting it on. What are you doing? You're going the wrong direction. Off, not on. But, yeah, it's... There you go. Pretty. Very pretty. It's pretty. It's so pretty. Then the pact is to avenge. Oh, by the way, Kevin Smith, you want to have a strong woman? Here you go. Oh, I gotta do a He-Man show, but I don't want a He-Man to be the star. You act as if there's ever been a strong female in animated form. Then what the fuck am I watching now, Kevin Smith? But Kevin Smith, I mean, he just... That guy's full of shit nowadays. I lost a lot of respect for Kevin Smith. I have. I mean, I know it's a tangent, but I used to like Kevin Smith. I loved his movies, his commentaries. Now, oh, he filmed Clerks 3. I don't give a fuck about Clerks 3. Don't give a fuck about it. Guy, it's one thing if you try at a trailer or two trailers, but every fucking trailer? When you get to like 10, and you come on now. And acting like every movie's the best movie ever? Come on now. What the fuck? I'm a big He-Man fan, but back to the day I used to hate watch the show. So they picked a guy who hate watched the original show to do a fucking new He-Man. That makes a lot of fucking sense. But that's Hollywood. Oh, I'm such big fans. That's why, I mean, I would not want a remake of this now that I think about it, because what the fuck they gonna do? PC, I'm a big fan, and then shit all over it. I don't even know if there's any good rock and rollers of today. That's probably why they're using so many fucking songs from back in the day, because music today sucks. The music today sucks ass. We don't want to use them. What's in the 80s and 90s we can use? But it's interesting, like, you're telling the whole story with visuals, not dialogue. She sees that these people died. Here's this pendant. She vows vengeance to avenge these people who died, that called for help. She's committed. She's sexy. Again, I like this bird. Looks like the thing you ride on and joust. Well, that's not true. That one is more like an ostrich type of thing, so stretch that. This is more like a dinosaur. But like the fact that, you know what, let's make the background pink. It could look like a normal building, but why? It's an alien world, alien civilization. Make it look weird, make it look quirky, make it look distinct. Yeah, I think this is rotoscoping, where someone's doing the actions, and then they draw over it. Nowadays, they put those little things on in the suits. I don't know how they did it back then. Maybe that's why they kind of have the actors move a bit slower. Because, like, instead of, like, punch is like... Because if you go too fast, it'll be too hard for people to draw over. But if you slow it down, then it's easier for them to... I'd like Devo. When did Devo get here? Who is this, Harry Mudd? No, he has no mustache. Yeah, don't fuck with her. You fucked with the wrong lady. You fucked with the wrong lady, man. She don't talk much, but she'll kick the fucking shit out of you. There you go. Leave her the fuck alone. And you see how, like, it's kind of more slow, and kind of like the guy gets the blood, and everyone's a bit slower. I think maybe they told the actors to move a bit slow because it'll make it easier to animate, to keep track. Maybe, I don't know. I could be wrong. Cut their heads clean off. That sword swinging, I think, was like the last bit of the trailer. One way to the paradise, call it heavy metal noise. But she does pay. No, she wants answers. You know what the fuck it is, so don't even... That's right, just tell me what it is, fat boy. Well, I mean, if you see someone cut someone's head off, you don't tell them whatever they want to hear as well. I mean, I guess to be fair, like, if I'm thinking of ranking these, I would say Den or the Harry, those are my two favorites. Then... Again, I like the others, they're a bit short, though. The B-17 Bomber I would put because I just like the easy comics aesthetic. Then this one. Because, like, the robot one is interesting, but again, it's kind of... Like, there's not really a story in the robot one and the trial foot chase one. Like, this is actually telling a little bit of a story. Yeah, I guess I just wish those other stories had a bit more room to breathe. But, yeah, I already mentioned that. But I don't hate any of these stories. That's the thing. I don't hate any of them. I don't watch any of these stories. Because, yeah, I enjoy the animation, the aesthetic, the nudity, the violence. I don't know who does the voice of the villain here. I know the villain in the Heavy Metal 2000 is voiced by Michael Ironside, who was a bad guy in Total Recall from 1990 and Scanners and other stuff. I think it was Julie Strain was the lead in Heavy Metal 2000. That's the lady who was with Kevin Eastman, at least at that time, who ran Heavy Metal magazine. And then after relinquishing his hold on Ninja Turtles and gave it solely to Peter Laird. Man, that guy having a shitty day. Won't get you, fool. Fuckers. Leave the bird alone. Yeah, it does get hit, but arrive to its master. And we get to the finale, because there's about 12 minutes left, and you still have the rest of the story. You have the little epilogue, and then you have... They did a decent amount of end credits, because there's a lot of like animators and such that were involved with this. Yeah, because I think the bird gets hit and has to... Yeah, there you go. That says something that I care more about this bird than people in Spider-Man No Way Home and Ghostbusters Afterlife and other shit. It says a lot. That's just my opinion. No one else's. All these Jamoke motherfuckers staring down. Come down here and fight me like a... Fight me like a man, you pussy. You ain't a man. I'm more man than you. Suck my dick. Suck my clit. Sorry, now I'm just watching the finale battle. Whoa, again, and if this film was very successful, again, at 81, I would say maybe, I said 89 or 87, do a sequel. I just really, they want to do a sequel not too far from then. So, I don't know, maybe 83 or 84 they would have done the sequel. I mean, you did like Queen, and then AC/DC, some other people, and that would be cool to witness. And I don't know, I'm trying to think of like what story. I mean, the sky's the limit with type of stories you could do. That's the thing about this. There you go, get that motherfucker. Again, with the creativity, you go to any type of world, any type of aliens. There you go. Punch a hole right into his fucking head. Now, how you like me now? Are you not entertained, bitches? Come down here and fuck off. So I guess this is their like sacrifice. Which kind of sucks, but then I know they get reborn with that lady. But then it's like... But it's kind of weird, it's doing this as if it's telling the story, but by sacrificing, then it like cuts to modern, where it also destroys Lochnar. I think that's why I was a little bit confused. Because it does this, the sacrifice, but then it cuts to there and it fucks up too. So it acts as if it's happened at the same time. So yeah, that's why I was like a bit confused. Like, wait a minute, isn't that a flashback? But no, it's happening in real time as well. And she didn't do anything. She just ran off and said, "Fuck this." I think this is a model house that explodes. Right there, boom. Which works because you get the physicality of the explosion. Gives a different, unique look to it. So it's like a flashback killed Lochnar in a weird way. A flashback killed the Lochnar? And does that mean, okay, she becomes this reborn, but does that mean she has to pretty much sit in a stasis until she's called upon, so she can't even like watch TV or do anything for fun? Literally just have to wait until being called upon to, I don't know, I guess fight or something? Like, can she at least chill out? And I guess that's like her reborn. Yeah, they're both reborn, so they look different. Which it does actually make sense, like, to not have them look the same. It's the same creature, but reborn, looking different. This day's purple. To a new defender. Like, is she able to just fly around and relax until she's called upon? Like, or then does she, like, I don't know. I didn't. You're not supposed to ask that. I mean, look at that. Hour and 25 minutes. You get excitement, you get thrills, you get gore, you get kick-ass soundtrack. Unique. I mean, yeah. Get your money's worth. I wish there were more animated anthology films. I think that would be really cool to see. I mean, it'd be different. It'd be a bit more unique. Again, just a bit more variety. Instead of like constant fucking superhero movies and constant, let's make a sequel to a film from 20 fucking years ago, but it's a reboot. Like Jurassic World, The Force Awakens, fucking Ghostbusters Afterlife, all this other shit. Richard Romanus as Harry Canyon. I don't know who that is. Blue Oyster Cult. Stevie Nicks. Riggs, like Martin Riggs. Journey. That's a good song, Open Arms by Journey. But you got Den, of course, rest in peace. John Candy. Rest in peace, Harold Ramis. Let's see, let me just look to see some of these other voices. Yeah, Dan became Den. Let me just look. Yeah, Eugene Levy was Captain Stern. Joe Flaherty was the lawyer. And John Vernon was the prosecutor. And yeah, B-17, the story is by Dan O'Bannon. Same guy who directed Return of the Living Dead and helped come up with the original idea that would become Alien. At least the original script. Taking a ride on heavy metal. And Eugene Levy, male reporter. Joe Flaherty was the general. John Candy is the robot. Harold Ramis is Zeke. And Eugene Levy was the other alien. Eugene Levy is probably most well known as the dad in American Pie. Jason Biggs' dad. If I say Eugene Levy, again, he worked with John Candy in Armed and Dangerous, among other films he's done, but he's probably most famous as the dad in the American Pie films. That's Eugene Levy. And I'm looking at Turner. Well, who did the voice? Okay, did I miss it? Okay, no. Vlastra Varana as Barbarian Leader. There you go. And as for the Blu-ray, just to go into detail with that, looks fine on Blu-ray. Feature-wise, this is what you get. You get feature-length rough cut, and you get commentary with Carl Machik. You get deleted scenes, Neverwhere land sequence, alternate framing story, which I don't even know what the alternate framing story was. Let me look at that real quick. I got a little bit more time. Oh, the alternate framing story, yeah, it was a different location, and the dad wasn't dead. Didn't know about that. And then Imagining Heavy Metal, which is from the DVD, and it's Is it 25 minutes? 35 minutes. And people interviewed were people worked on it. Kevin Eastman, Heavy Metal Magazine, because he owns it now. Layout artist, Ivan Reitman. Let's see. Was that Dan Goldberg, screenwriter? And who's this? Oh, John Bruno, sequence director. John Bruno, is that the guy who directed Virus with Jamie Lee Curtis? John Bruno, here, sequence director of The Last Door, Eterna. But yeah, it's 35 minutes long. Cool they got Ivan Reitman there. I wish maybe they just did as a favor. They had nothing to say, like John Candy in them at the time. Actually, I don't know when this DVD came out, so John Candy may have passed away before this. Yeah, that would have been the early mid '90s. So, and DVDs were not around then. So, yeah, because it wasn't until like the early 2000s DVD was really becoming a thing. So John Candy had already passed away, but I like Eugene Levy or some of the other voice actors. Harold Ramis. But with that said, Heavy Metal, damn good movie. I don't. Great to watch it again. So with that said, we'll see you guys later. Take care. Bye bye. Thank you.